All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Weird and Strong podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Grinsteiner. With me today is an awesome dude that I got to know over the Instagrams, Dr. Matt Shiver. Welcome to the show, dude.
Thanks, man. I am honored to be on here. We were DMing. Yeah, we've been DMing for a while now, and it was cool to be able to link up and actually have a call and meet.
Yeah.
And looking forward to jamming today.
Yeah, it was cool because the more that I've been doing this podcast in particular, like the more that I realize how small like my circle outside of the Fargo area is, where it's like, I went on this retreat and you almost went on this retreat as well. And like, we likely know a lot of the same people. And so it's really, really cool to have you here.
Yes.
And so first thing I'm going to ask you is a quesadilla a grilled cheese sandwich?
I automatically, my intuition it says no, but it could be a sandwich, but I'm going to say no, just because there's no bread. If it's a bread, it makes a sandwich. Even a sub and a sandwich are different, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't call a sub a sandwich.
Okay. So like, well, in that case, what constitutes as bread?
Oh, the airy, doughy, like loose stuff. Okay. Like a sub's kind of hard, right? It's firm on the top.
Sure.
Well, then like bread is soft until it's grilled cheese. Then you grill it, it doesn't become toasty. Soft anymore. But damn, that's really tough. But no, I don't think it is. I don't know what type of bread. Oh, that's such a good question.
So I got a follow up to that one. Since you said it has to have bread, I've got another one that has bread as one of its ingredients. Is a mozzarella stick a grilled cheese?
It's a fried cheese. Right? Isn't it fried cheese?
Technically, yes. But also you're frying it in a pan for a grilled cheese. It's not on a grill.
You're right. Damn. So it's really not. So everybody listening, a grilled cheese is actually an oven. Is it actually a baked cheese? Having a baked cheese sandwich, or you could
pan fry,
braise it, braised.
Just like all the restaurant folks are like going to make their grilled cheese in a salamander now.
It's grilled, we promise. Like,
awesome.
That's an incredible question. What a great icebreaker.
Yeah, gotta get people thinking in different ways. Sure. I got a load of them. So hint. Let's talk more about you. Since this is the Weird and Strong podcast, I like to start with the weird. And what unconventional or weird things do you either exhibit, bring into the world? What are your weird tendencies? What are some of the weird things that are Dr. Matt Shiver?
Weird, man. Oh, what is so weird about me? Man, most of the time I'm barefoot, so almost like 90, I'm pretty say at least 95% of the day I'm barefoot. Sometimes I'll wear shoes, but most of the time I'm barefoot, or I'll wear my little sandals that are like they kind of look like Jesus sandals.
Yeah.
They're not the
crotches.
No, they're not. No. Man, they're zeros is what they're called.
Yeah, I know those.
They're like earth runners. I think that's what I'm trying to look for.
Okay.
They're an alternative to this, but I'm pretty much barefoot most of the time. I am wearing pants right now. I'm just kidding. I really am though. No, man, I think I'm what's weird, I guess you could say. I wouldn't call it weird. It's just, I am a big proponent of just like, I guess it's weird if it's unconventional, which is crazy, but following your heart and doing what you love. And I went and spent lots of money getting a doctorate degree in physical therapy. And I didn't even take a full-time job getting that when I got out of school. I went straight into the online world because I just didn't feel fulfilled by that. But I think that's weird, is that, oh man, you spent all this money. And then when I was telling all my friends when I was graduating, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go build this online company. And I'm going to work maybe like 2 or 3 days as a physical therapist. And they're like, what? You spent six figures on your student education. Why would you not just dive into this? And I'm like, yeah, it's not really exciting.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Yeah. I'm sure you've talked about this many times on other podcasts as well, but for our audience, do you mind going into that journey a little bit for you? Like, was there a particular moment where you're like, what I'm going towards isn't necessarily in alignment with where I want to go?
Yeah, man, it was. So I remember when I was let's kick this off. I might even have it up here. My bookshelf. I do 4-Hour Work Week. Anybody who's read 4-Hour Work Week or Tim Ferriss, like it's a really good book. And I remember reading it. I was a sophomore in college, and it just broke down like, what am I working for? Like it kind of made me, people use the word woke. I don't know if I like the word woke, but it made me like kind of zoom out. And I was like, what am I doing? And even in school, like what's the purpose of school? Like, what is the purpose of all of this? Right.
Yeah.
And I started to realize, man, it would be really cool to travel. Man, it'd be really cool to have VAs work for you. Man, it'd be really cool to have all these things. And I was like, wow, this is possible. So I started online coaching while I was in undergrad. I started doing a little bit of online coaching, but then in grad school, I went to Duke for physical therapy school. And while I was there, I worked as a personal trainer. I had some one-on-one online clients. I worked as a weightlifting coach at a CrossFit gym. And then I had like 4 jobs, just strength and conditioning. And I worked as one of Travis Masher's assistant coaches for weightlifting too. So I was just kind of like doing a bunch of things, and PT was kind of just one of the things that I did. Like I was in school, but like when I wasn't in school, I was at the gym. The gym, I was training, or I was coaching. And I guess that was probably one of the big things there, was that it wasn't my identity. It was like, oh, this is one of the 5 to 10 things that I do, even though it's most of my money is going to this. I wouldn't like necessarily allow it to identify myself. I identified more as a weightlifter or a weightlifting coach than I did a physical therapist or a physical therapy student. Like, so I was going through PT school. I was, I wouldn't say I was fully bought into it, but, there was definitely times where I was like, man, I think I should just be a strength coach. It's like, I guess I get my DPT degree because it'll on paper look like I've got more credentials, and it'll be ultimately it'll be better. But for the longest time, I was like, I think I should have been a strength coach, because I'm like in PT school, listening to lectures, and behind my screen I'm programming, or like I'm reading like an ebook on how to get jacked and strong. Yeah. And man. I mean, I was in the program. I was about 2 years in. I remember calling my mom, and I was just like super frustrated. And I was like, I'm not going to do this shit. Like, I don't want to do this. This is boring. Like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, just stick it out. Blah, blah. And she's right though. Like I committed to it, and I had already spent time, money was already there, and it wasn't hard to do. So I did stick it out. And, I just, I stuck it out, went through my internships, thought my internships would be better. And same thing. It was just like very churn and burn, like see patients, give them the same exercises. And when I graduated, I just realized, I want to do something else. I really love the online coaching, and that's what I was doing all throughout PT school. So I just continued it on and started a new company, and built that, had a lot of fun with it, and treated kind of part-time. And then eventually when online paid more money than when I was getting paid in person, I was like, deuces, I'm out of here, guys. And that's where we're at.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. For me, as like a connection piece to this, is that like, as I got into coaching also through like CrossFit, weightlifting, and all of that, I had that notion in my head, oh, maybe I'll go to PT school. Yeah. Like had, and all of that, and like started to look at programs and the pieces of it, very much maybe similar to what like you had said of, oh, if I can show that I have this on my resume, I'm a better weightlifting coach, or like I'm a more qualified weightlifting coach. And it's like, is that really true?
It can be. It's interesting. So I'll share. I just got off a call with somebody for one of my programs. It's a coaching business growth program. But the reason she clicked on my ad is because I had the word doctor, Dr. Matt Shiver, and she's like, if yours didn't say doctor, I would have clicked it. I'm like, so it does matter to some people. It does, yeah. But the person that it does matter to most is you. Because you think that, oh, if I have better skills, if I have this, I'm going to draw in more people and I'm going to have a bigger impact and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all a story, right? Well, again, there is some accuracy. Like, I probably wouldn't have had a call with this lady, but I probably could have had a call with someone else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it will draw in a certain person, but it won't do that with everyone. And it's really you have to convince.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I took the look at it and I said, ultimately, is there anything that I was looking to do differently than I already do if I had a DPT or not? And I was like, ultimately, no. The only difference is that I can accept insurance.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And you have to, even if you do accept insurance or don't accept insurance, you still have to document. So like in the documentation has to be specific to billing codes. Because you're held legal for the stuff that you do, or like training and stuff like that's totally different, man. It's like, it's not the Wild Wild West, but there's a little bit more of there's a less regulation on it. Right. And I think for online coaching, I believe you don't necessarily even need to be quote unquote certified by really to do it, as long as, but as everyone, if you're listening, you have a business, you should have some sort of contract that's, hey, this is the terms of service. This is what you're getting.
Yes.
To cover your basis. But yeah, you don't necessarily need a certification.
Yeah. And that was especially for myself, like when I got started, where I was like, oh, I got to get this certification and this one and this one and this one and this one. Like looking back for myself, even like around here, we do a lot of like pick a word to embody for the year. Ooh. Like for me is integrate. It's like I've spent a bunch of time collecting all these tools. Yeah. So I got like this messy toolbox of all these tools that I've accumulated as a coach and like from my past professional lives. And so it's like, rather than going for the next program, the next certification, the next accelerator, whatever it is, nice. I'm like, how would I just use what I have? Like actually like put some of this stuff to use.
Yeah, we're in a really similar place. I think when it comes to that, especially I'd say the word for me is growth for this year. And two, it's like I've spent so much time and money and in like programs. Like I can't say how many programs I've done. And it's like, dude, I already have the skills. Same thing with PT. It's like, oh, should I be a PT? It's like, dude, I already had the skills. Let me go ahead and just share these skills instead of continuing to accumulate. It's like, no, just go share. Just go share, because you don't need to be a doctorate degree to share. You just need to be a chapter ahead, Yeah,
we talk a lot about that, just being one chapter ahead of whoever you're working with. Because I know that was like, for me, a big thing is that I felt like I needed to know everything before I could get in front of somebody. Or like, I
got to find the best approach. There's got to be the best program I can write.
Yeah.
For them to get their strength gains. But honestly, it's like, well, no, the program's a piece of it, but what about their mindset around it? What's their recovery like? Like the program matters, but not even as much as like all the cumulative stress as a whole. So it's like, how can we deal with the person? That matters more than your fancy program, your nutrition plan, and all that has to come together.
Yeah. All of the like super secret Soviet periodization models and all that, none of that's going to really matter, especially looking at like general population, even looking at like a lot of competitive weightlifters. It's like, really, it's exactly what you said, is managing the stressors all around. Yeah. And like I know myself, is I love to share information. If I'm too far ahead, I'm vomiting information at somebody that they're like, what do you want me to do with this?
Yeah. And that's honestly one of the things I've like focused on a lot this past probably like 6 months, is how simple can I make it? And if I like some of the content I create, I'll redo it. I'm like, I lost them here. Like I know when I said it, I lost them. Like, restart. It's like, how simple, how much can I eliminate, to where it's so easy to understand.
That's an amazing point and amazing practice. Like the retreat I talked about, we did some of this as well, of like, how can you say more with less? How can you use the least amount of words to get your point across?
Yeah. And you could do a lot through body language too.
That's very true. How much do you, well, speaking of that, like how much do you get to utilize body language in an online perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, I do most of my coaching via Zoom. So you can you can see it, but you almost have to have good lighting too, right? So it also, there's other things of like, even if you're in a dark room, your eyes acclimate when you're in person, but when you're on Zoom, if you're supposed to be your coach, you need to have good lighting so that people can feel you and see you and not have a distracted background, because it's still 2D. This is still 2D. So how simple can I make this? Like if I have too much stuff going on back here, you can't really even get the body language. So it's definitely an obstacle, and you have to eliminate, make things cleaner, easier to see. But yeah, you do miss that like energetic feeling oftentimes.
Yeah. You find it difficult on the online versus in person, or is it, you've done it for so long that it's pretty seamless now?
I'd say so. From my experience, from like working with some of the businesses and even on different business like teams, meetings tend to be more efficient online. Like I can get through a meeting agenda a lot faster, but the connection isn't always as strong. Like when, and the ideation too hasn't always been the best. So like, that's why I'm a big fan of, if you have a business, like, can you guys do quarterly retreats or maybe it's every 6 months or at least once a year, just to like connect. Like you can still connect a lot, but a lot of it is very like business related, right? It's like, hey, what'd you get done this week? Cool. What are you doing today? Cool. Awesome. Boom. As opposed to like, yo, dude, what's up? I'm just gonna nudge you a little bit, like there's that. It can be done online. It's just a lot of people are like always on Zoom calls and they don't want to be on Zoom calls. So it's like, cool, let's just get on the Zoom call and get off the Zoom call.
Yeah. Or there's the real, like when you're in the same room together, you're sharing the collective distractions. Yeah. Versus like in your individual environment, like I have my own distractions here, you have your own distractions there. And so everybody's just pulled in too many different directions all the time.
Oh, totally. Like there's not a dog in here right now, but if we were meeting in person, we'd probably take turns petting the dog. I mean, my dog is cute. Oh, the dog is so cute. It's like, oh, what were we talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I like rewind back to, so like, I don't know how much you know about my background, but I studied music in school first. And then I made my transition into the tech world. I was an engineer and a project manager and wore many hats in that world before getting into the fitness industry. Exactly what you said. We did that many times at my former company when we were working with clients on big, like enterprise level scale apps and software, where it was really tough to try to get a good sense of like, what is the actual business need here and how can we creatively come to a solution for you when they're in Texas and we're in North Dakota, and trying to make that connection over online, or like one person's in Texas, one person's in Nevada, another one's in Nebraska, and one person's driving. It's like, well, we're not really all that productive. And so we would bring them to a location, or we'd meet at a central location and have these like little mini retreats. And there was the team bonding that went along with it. And the ideas were so much better. Yeah. It's got better information.
Totally. I mean, I see you got a whiteboard in your room. I've got a whiteboard in mine. Like when I meet with people in person, like typically we're just like jamming and almost like, and I'm just drawing, you know what I mean? I'm drawing ideas. I'm like, oh, what if we did this? And that's missed online. Like I can pull, I legit have a pad here that I bought like 2 weeks ago that like I can draw on, like it's like a pen and I can draw on it, but it's still not the same as a whiteboard, man. It's not the same as a whiteboard, Like, I love me whiteboards.
Same. I've got one here. I've got one there. I actually have one in my shower.
Wow. That's dedication.
Because that's like you get the shower thoughts and the ideas. And I'm like, the second the shower's off, I forgot it. I don't know, like there's some like disconnects. I'm like, all right, write it down.
Wow. Dude, I might have to, or even in the shower, because I get a glass shower. I wonder if I can get like a glass, like a marker, you know what I'm saying? And like write on the inside. My girlfriend would hate it.
I mean, a dry erase marker should write on glass as well. Yeah.
Cool.
It might be a little faint.
I'll start with like a love note and be like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. And then I'll start being like, okay, so this is the evil plan. I'm just gonna go.
You've got like process maps. The next day.
Like, what is that? Like, I was drawing out all the different ways that I love you, you know?
I'll explain it later.
Yeah. That's so funny, man.
You talked about having a background in weightlifting.
Yeah, man.
So tell me more about how you got started in that.
I started doing CrossFit in 2008, I believe. And 2010 is when I was like, damn, I'm really weak. Okay. You know, like it's like, okay, for me to get better at CrossFit, I need to do weightlifting. And I found a Catalyst Athletics, Greg Everett program online. It was like their high volume thing. I'm like, yeah, it's perfect for me. No shit, and I would do it and I'd give 20 seconds between sets. I was like CrossFitter doing a weightlifting plan, be like, all right, that's it. It's 30 minutes up. And now if I do that program, I'll be like, dude, this is like 3 hours. You know? So yeah, in 2010, I found the sport as a way to get better at CrossFit. And I just really loved the routine. I love being able to go in, like, all right, snatch, clean, squat, /pull, I'm done. And some minor accessory work. But I think a lot of his programming was very just traditional barbell movements, right?
You know what's likely on the menu.
Yeah. I'm going to snatch, do some sort of variation of snatch, some variation of clean and jerk, some variation of a squat, and some variation of a pull. I love that, you know? So I was doing that. That was 2010. And then I was like, damn, I want more people to like this. So then I found CrossFit. 2013, 2014 is when I started weightlifting. Okay. And then 2015 comes around and I was like, I want to share this with more people. So I put together a weightlifting club at my university. So I went to Appalachian State. I think they still might have it, man. It's super
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I was at the gym in Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I'm from. And I saw someone wearing the shirt that I designed, or I had someone design. I'm like, dude, he's got a Mountaineer weightlifting shirt on. Dude, it's still around. like it was so cool. I was like, dude, I started that club in 2015 or so, 2016, I started a weightlifting club for the school. We trained 3 days a week. We had a grad student who was like our coach. So he was familiar with the lifts. And I was kind of like the organizer, kind of the president, making things happen. But I didn't have to be the coach, which was super nice. So we had like 10 or 15 people like training 3 days a week at a gym and at App. And it was awesome. So started that. Then I graduated the next semester. So I kind of like left it. It was like, all right, guys, you guys just keep it going. I keep doing. And, which was great. And then I went to Duke. That's where we talked about earlier. And when I got there, I just sent out like probably at least 10 DMs, just like cold DMs to all the CrossFit gyms saying, hey, this is what I did at this last school. I'm looking to be a weightlifting coach. Would love to trade gym membership for exchange for free coaching for weightlifting. So just sent out a bunch of cold DMs. And I didn't realize that you can do this for business too, guys. Like that's how some people get clients. But one reached out, invited me in, checked out the space. And he was like, yeah, man, our strength coach or our weightlifting coach just left. And we're looking we'd love to have someone else who knows what they're doing in here. So did that, started coaching 3 days a week there. During that time was when I was starting to get competitive weightlifting too. I hired Coach Penlay as one of my coaches. Awesome. So I got to work with him for about a year. Got really, really strong with him. My squat went from like 315 for 5 to 405 for 5 in like less than a year. It was stupid. Yeah. And like what weight class were you? 94 at the time, I think. Okay. Was it 94 or 92? Like 94, I think. 94. Yeah. That sounds right for the old weight classes. Yeah. 94. I was decent, man. I my best snatch ever in competition was 112. I snatched 115 with straps. A clean and jerk, I was not very good at. My ankle dorsiflexion and levers were just not meant for a clean. Like I'm just not good at cleans. I think the most I ever cleaned was 300. And I think I clean and jerked 127. Okay. 124, 127. I don't know. Somewhere in there. I think 127. Yeah. So, and did that, graduated from PT school still and worked with Travis Mash, one of his coaches. And then I started my own spot here in Charleston for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID happened and I just was like, I'm going online. Bye. Yeah. That's kind of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you still train yourself in the lifts?
Not regularly, man. I still like go to the gym. I still squat. I still do some pulls, or I do a lot of RDLs.
Yeah.
Do lots of squats, do lots of RDLs. I may snatch and clean and jerk maybe once a quarter or so. Like I could do it more, but I've been just I've been working a lot, man. And I think a lot of times just the lifts, I really want to feel mobile and loose and warm. And right now, most of the time I go to the gym and I really focus on like kind of just moving and opening things up. I don't feel very open. So like I could go lift, but I notice that sometimes I'll be sore. Like, my low back will be sore, my knee will hurt. And I'm like, man, so right now I guess I'm going to the gym to just to feel better and not feel as stiff. Because when I was treating and when I was working as a coach, like I was moving a lot. So it was a lot easier for me just to like, all right, I'm gonna do a 5-minute warm up and just start going.
Yeah.
But at this stage of my life, no, I'm not lifting too much. Not the traditional lifts.
Yeah. That's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar situation.
Yeah. What about you? What's your background been? And like, what are you doing now?
So like I said, I was in the tech world. I got started late in life. The most athletic thing I did before age 30 was marching band, which field marching is like in football games. It takes a lot of effort, but not exactly like a traditional athletic background by any means. And so that was in my mid-20s and started working. And as I transitioned into the tech world, there's a lot of sitting. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like happy hours and just a lot of sedentary time. And so at that point, I can't remember if it was when I turned 30 or shortly before, I was about 300 pounds and about 45% body fat. Never touched a barbell in my life. Never, like, gym class was probably the last really like dedicated athletic thing that I had done. And I was on this meeting with my manager at the time who, if you're familiar with the cartoon Archer, he's like a real life version of Sterling Archer. Cool. Like black hair, piercing blue eyes, tall, thin, like male model type. And here you got me at the weight that I was. And we're on this, we're waiting for a Zoom call with one of our engineers. We didn't have a great conference room. This is all pre-COVID stuff. So nobody had like nice conferencing things around here. So we're huddled in front of a MacBook. You see the preview of ourselves. And I have this thought in my head that I go, oh man, we look like Han Solo and Fat Chewbacca.
Wow.
So I had this and I was like, well, okay. If that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm thinking. It's time to figure something out. Saw an ad for like a introductory challenge for a local CrossFit gym. Joined, started to enjoy it. Whereas I had never really enjoyed it before. And then again, very similar to you, is I started in that world and decided that I wanted to do the lifts more because I felt like it was holding me back in the CrossFit workouts. And then decided that I just liked the weightlifting better. And like I liked the competitions better than I liked the CrossFit competitions. And through that, then got my USAW level 1, started helping when our small little team would go to local competitions, slowly took that over, made the transition to a full-time coach and was balancing competing and coaching for a while. And as of this year, decided I'm taking a bit of a step back from my own personal lifting as far as like the competitive lifts of weightlifting, and lifting to feel and look better over competition numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good awareness, man. I mean, I'm still dealing with a few nagging things from when I really pushed it. Like when my squat, I said my squat went up from 315 for 5 to 405 for 5. But man, I had a back injury then, and I still to this day still have some like numbness and tingling that'll come on from like prolonged sitting.
Yeah.
but it happened that day. Like, I mean, of course I can't just, I don't, as a PT, I don't like to attribute one single event to it, but I did have an incident where it like, where I had to drop the bar off my back, and I couldn't squat for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And I had numbness and tingling that day. So like there was an incident, but also I don't think if I loaded that fast, if I didn't go from 315 to 405 in like 8 months, if I did that over 2 years, it probably would have been way more sustainable. And there's a higher likelihood that maybe potentially, I don't want to say that it's not necessarily, it's not a good story. It's supportive, but maybe,
yeah,
I wouldn't have numbness and tingling in my feet from, just prolonged sitting. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to say in those aspects. And also like getting to where I got, cause I'm in the geezer category now for lifters, is that I was fortunate enough, even though I got started later in life, that I stayed pretty healthy and injury free. And I was like, well, I know what it's going to take for me to continue to push at the same clip that I had been, to go from never touching a barbell to clean and jerking 135. Like, that's a pretty big swing in 4 years, something like that. And it's like, okay, let's continue to build that base better. Or let's continue to like make sure that the joints stay healthy. And if I keep training like I'm a 21-year-old trying to make the Olympics, what do I think is going to happen?
Yeah, there's no need for that.
Yeah,
so true. It's easy to lose sight, but it's a very one of the things I love about weightlifting is that it's a very present sport, right? Like you're very present. You could be. It's really hard to have a good session and be on your phone in between sets. Like I have done it. I've totally done it. But it is one of those things of like, all right, where do I feel that in my body? Where was my balance on my foot? Where was it? How can I? You think it's a very thinking sport that really does like just brings you into the present. And I've had some incredible training sessions where it was just me and the music and the bar, man, brings back some memories.
Yeah. Well, and also yourself as an athlete and yourself as a coach, you can always see and feel when somebody isn't present or when you're not present. Like you have that person who's coming in from a less than ideal day, and like their attention's all over the place, or they start getting really frustrated over little things. And it's like, well, you're really not here, or you're attached to whatever the outcome is that you think you should be doing right now.
Yeah. Or they think they can follow the same plan when they're feeling that level of overwhelm. I had someone who was in her fellowship, and maybe it's her residency. Yeah. She's in her residency program when I was coaching her, and man, did I have to fight to try to like pull her back from herself, like, hey, do you like the story work? And I didn't know a lot about story work. I had met Mark England and Mike at Travis's gym. They did put on a workshop, but I wasn't able to really utilize the tools. But that was one of the biggest things, was that I wish I knew that better. And I wish I knew how to clearly communicate that better when I was weightlifting coach, and for my own mental game of what I was telling myself, because I think I would have handled things so much differently if I knew how to understand the chatter that was present,
Yeah. Like, I know that this is a thought experiment, but like, what would you think the trajectory would have been for you had you had a different control over your words and your stories as a lifter?
Oh man. Yeah. I think I imagine I would have competed longer than a year, because I pretty much just competed maybe 2 years max. I had so much fun. I PR'd every meet, it was kind of that beginner newbie, just getting a bunch of gains. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I'm done, man. I'm tired. I feel exhausted. And it was a short-lived experiment. And then I went into coaching, and I'm grateful for it, because I went into coaching and started coaching more holistically, a lot more deloads, like so many more deloads than I ever got. So I'm grateful for that, but I think too, I would have had a longer career and just had more fun lifting. Cause I don't know, I imagine if anyone is listening that has been a weightlifter or a competitive strength athlete, it's not easy to go from like training for something to train to be healthy, or to train just to, I don't know if you're experiencing that now, but like I had the hardest time. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? What, am I going to walk?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. And I tried to hire a coach and they gave me some programming and I'm like, there's no goal here, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it was like bro work, I'm like, this pump's great, but
so what?
Not snatching more kilos. You know, like, I want more. I want to be slamming some bars. But it was a really hard transition for me. And I would say, I mean, there's still parts of me that still experiences that of like and it was so easy to have the motivation when you had an event, you know, to train for, or goals of a objective lift. But when you start to be trained to just move and feel better, it's kind of more subjective, right? It's like, oh, I feel really good. My energy is good. And you could make objective numbers from it, but it's not as like concrete as, did your snatch go up? Did your squat go up? You know?
And also like on a similar page as well, is like, that can be also the greatest area of like mental anguish and disappointment as well, where people, like the amount of times I've listened to people talk like, well, I'm just going to quit. Because like, I put in this 12 weeks, I did this amazing program, I did all this work, I feel beat up, and now I can't, I didn't eat, like my snatch went down on the last max out day. And like that same attachment and that same drive can also be the thing that drives us the other direction. Yeah. I've worked with, I have a current client who's a former strongman athlete. And like, we work on that a lot of the, like when he starts to approach a bar, he can feel that like switch in his head flip. And he's like, he has to step back and like calm himself down and breathe. And we work on that and practice it. Like we practice that almost as much as we do anything else, because for him, it's so easy to go to that psycho, like competition mindset that has left him feeling beat up and hurt and unhealthy, to then be able to do things like do a back squat without feeling like he's trying to compete with somebody.
Yeah. I feel that a lot, man.
Yeah. And it's, we have a lot of conversations and he's like, this is tougher than like a 700-pound squat. Like,
oh, totally. Totally. The mental chatter and the band. Yeah. It's very different. Cause it's like, on the squat, you amp yourself up, you do it, and then it's like either you get it or you didn't, and you're like, okay, it's over. Yeah. But the voice or the chatter can go on, can be present longer, you know.
Very much so. You talked about your competing careers being a little shorter. Did you ever bomb out in competition?
No, I have not. I almost did once, but I made my last clean and jerk. I think I PR'd my snatch in the competition. I think it was the first time I snatched 110 or 112. I don't know, but it was something awesome in a competition. I think it was 110 in competition. Yeah. And I slammed the bar and I was super pumped, but I had been coaching all day. So when I clean and jerks, I was on my feet all day. And I'm like, I missed my opener. I'm like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Second one, I could barely stand it up. I'm like, oh no. And I missed the jerk. And then the third one, I just like left everything. I'm like, I have to get this. And I barely got it. I like, kind of ran with the jerk to like stabilize it. But that was the closest. And my lesson was, I cannot coach like multiple sessions before my session if I want to actually like try to PR a lift. If I just want to go have fun, fine. But yeah, I won't do that again. Yeah.
I've had that experience not necessarily to that extent, but like, I've had that experience as well of running from one session, like coaching one session to like wrestling my singlet on to go to mine. Like minutes in between.
Oh my
And
gosh. I do miss counting. I miss counting so much, man. I mean, local meets, they're a lot of fun.
yeah, especially, everybody at the local meets usually, like, they're just big extended families. Even at a national level, they're quite a bit bigger now, but even still, like when I go to an American Open or nationals or whatever, it's like, oh, there's that person. Oh, hey, just start a little family reunion with everybody, which is super fun.
Yeah, it's very different. I remember I counted the Arnold one time for a few of my athletes, and then I was compared to like local. There's like, all right, dude, just sit for a while.
Yeah.
But when you're at an event where everyone's openers within like 5 kilos,
whole different.
It's a total. I bombed the first one so bad, and she did bomb. She won't blame me for it. I won't blame you, but I will take some responsibility for that for sure. I was like, she's like, oh, it was fine. I was like, I don't know. You didn't pick a barbell for quite a while. I think if whatever, but very different game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like somebody puts in. You see one coach going up to the. Like when things are just getting started, you see a coach go up to go put a change in for their openers, and you see everybody else rush to the table. And you're like, oh crap, here we go.
Just went from 8 out to on deck. Like, ready?
Yep. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. You're like, I've also had that happen where I'm like, dude, this is an F session. Like, chill out.
Yeah. It's funny, man.
Yeah. Let's talk more about your offering. Like, cool. what is it that you actually bring into the world with your coaching and also the programs that you're running?
Yeah, man. So I help coaches and clinicians get more online clients. I do that a lot through marketing and in creating systems. Like, I'm a very systematic person, and typically that starts with, well, what does your day look like? So I help a lot of my clients set up their week to allow them to have time to grow their business, because most people, when they reach out, they're like, hey, I'm doing all these things and I'm trying to grow my business. And it's like, that's why it's not growing. So we get really clear on, well, how is it growing? This is what we're going to do. And yeah, I teach a lot of just different techniques. Like, I use a lot of omnipresent marketing. So if you guys follow me or see my stuff, I post reels everywhere. They're on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook business, Facebook, my personal, the same video, but it's just everywhere. So that's worked really well for me. So I help my clients create strategies for that, as well as paid advertising. I teach Facebook and Instagram ads, but I'm experimenting myself right now with some YouTube ads.
Okay.
So yeah, I just help people grow and do so simply. I want my clients to be able to know where and when their next client's coming, and just giving them processes to do that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. If you look 5 years down the road, is this what you're still going to be doing, or you have bigger things that you want to be doing?
That's a great question, man. So yeah, I see what I'm doing right now as will continue to do that. This year I'm going to test to work more with clinicians. So I'm a physical therapist, right?
Yeah.
And I converted online and have been doing online coaching. So a lot of my offerings, or at least my paid advertisements, are going to be towards physical therapists and chiropractors. So I want to test that market to see, is this something that they want? And and serve them that way. I have most of my clients are coaches. I do have a few clinicians or MDs, but most of them are coaches. Mm-hmm. So this year, I'd say my goal is to keep growing that. Next year, I'll probably create another offering it'll be a higher ticket offering, but still in the same thing, a little bit more touch points. So still serving the same people. And then 3 or 4 years out, it'll more than likely, I'm a systems person, so it'll still be running, but a lot of my day-to-day interactions, as far as like lead gen, sales, a lot of fulfillment, will be minimized to where like I'm coaching, or I'm just doing the things I love to do, Mm-hmm. So I see 5 years out, this will still be around. My involvement may decrease in the day-to-day operations of it. And then I have a lot of, energy and excitement around like investing in other businesses. or buying and selling businesses. I've been a part of like a mastermind group that teaches how to do that. And I was super fascinated, and I just was like, all right, cool. Let me get something that's going to be really solid. Like I want the coaching to be something that's super solid, provides value, and kind of is my impact. And then I can have a buying and selling businesses kind of like a fun thing to do, just to make more money. But that's not really impact driven. Like the one I'm starting with impact driven because I just really am excited about it. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'll have some passion projects, just like flipping businesses and stuff like that. But I mean, that's where it's at now. It could have changed. Absolutely. I'm open to that. But I'd say 5 years from now, I'm going to be doing more, flipping, investing, stuff like that with businesses. But for the next now until then, it'll be getting to the point where I've got the time to do that. Because right now, I mean, I still relatively say I'm in startup phase. So it's just me and a few contractors, and eventually there'll be full teams, full salaries, and then I'll be able to have those people work during those times instead of me working all hours of the day.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's almost like hearing you talk about the buying and selling of businesses as like the fun thing. It's almost like when people get like a hobby investment account on like a Robinhood app or something, and they're buying and trading. You're like, yeah, I got my little fun account. But like being able to grow that as well. I had a friend of mine do something like that. He walked away from his job, and he's like, well, I walked away with a decent severance, and I'm just going to see if I can like just make some money trading for a while.
Then did he?
A while. Oh yeah. He did, I don't know, 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
And like that's came out ahead. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
It didn't change his lifestyle. Like stayed exactly the same, maybe even increased like his spending at some points. But was able to like walk away from a C-level job and say like, I'm just going to play with some high stakes gambling.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I like for me, I don't want to just invest. I don't want to invest capital in businesses. Like I'd way rather invest strategic like partnerships in businesses. So I love marketing. I love systems. I'm still learning sales for sure. Those are my skill sets. So it's like, if I can find people that like doing some of the stuff that I'm not good at or don't want to do, then we can partner. Like I really do want to keep developing partnerships. And another reason too, growing the accelerator and having this impact on coaches is that it's going to also build a personal brand, because I'll run all this stuff from my account. So with that, it's going to be a lot easier for me in the future, in 5 years from now, to negotiate, make deals, because I've been funding essentially personal branding growth to grow my coaching company, because a coaching company, people typically sign up for that because of the person, right? Like, let's be honest. Like if you work even with strength coaches, like there's not that much difference between hiring a strength coach versus another one. You're still going to get squats, deadlifts, presses, pulls, like accessory work. Sure, we can get nitty gritty and say the exercises, the prescription, all this can be different. But the reason someone hires a coach is because they like them, because they're investing in coaching and having someone support them. So,
it's like anybody can go buy a program online. If you're hiring a coach, it's about the relationship and building that relationship back and forth, and having that over a static program delivery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd say I'm gonna continue to grow the personal brand through that. So people have, they'll have a relationship with me through just social media and the content I create. And then, have fun. Like, I don't know if you guys follow Cody Sanchez, but she's really cool. She buys and sells businesses, and she's got a really good account. But it just looks fun, man. It looks so much fun, and it looks like a challenge. And that's what I'm interested in.
Very cool. As we wrap up, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about what you offer?
Yeah, you can find me at Dr. Matt Shiver, at Dr. Matt Shiver. That's pretty much my handle for everything. Yeah, TikTok, Instagram. Instagram is primary where I'm at. You can find me on Facebook, or you go to my website, mattshiver.com. And mattshiver.com. That kind of goes over my offerings and stuff there. which you'll find on Instagram. You can find like I have freebies and stuff in my like not link in bio, but story highlights, stuff like that. Instagram's just the best. It's just easy to kind of see what the heck it is that I do, and you can check out some of the stuff that's there.
Awesome. Well, closing things up, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this episode of the Weird and Strong podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, man. I had so much fun talking about weightlifting. You know, I don't get to talk about this too often, and it's like, oh, damn, remember this one time? So I appreciate you for bringing that up and letting me, you know, just think and just love the experiences that I had. Well,
here's the funnier part is that I've had, I think, 4 other weightlifting coaches or fitness coaches, and this is actually the first time we've actually talked about weightlifting specifically.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Wow. It took this long. Yes, which I'm actually I'm kind of proud of. Like it didn't go right to that, but yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again. Have an awesome day, and thank you all for listening. Until next time, I'm Jeremy Grunsteiner, and this is the Weird and Strong podcast.